Imagine this. You live alone and you start noticing strange things happening in your home. Food goes missing from your fridge, even though you know you just went grocery shopping. The TV remote is in a different spot than you left it. At first, you dismiss it. Maybe you're just forgetful, a little stressed out from work. But it keeps happening, day after day. It's a small, unsettling feeling that slowly grows into genuine fear. Is your mind playing tricks on you? Or is something more sinister going on? This isn't the plot of a horror movie. This was a terrifying reality for a man in Fukuoka, Japan, in 2008. What he discovered was more shocking than any ghost story he could have ever imagined. The man, whose name has been kept private for his own safety and peace of mind, couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone. The constant, subtle changes in his apartment were driving him crazy. He'd come home from work to find leftovers he was saving for dinner had vanished. He'd wake up in the morning and swear his belongings had been rearranged overnight. He started to question his own sanity. Was he sleepwalking? Was he so overworked that he was losing his memory? The most logical explanation seemed to be a burglar. But that didn't make sense either. Nothing valuable was ever stolen, and there were no signs of a break-in. The doors and windows were always locked exactly as he had left them. Frustrated and deeply creeped out, he decided he needed proof. He needed to know what was happening in his own home when he wasn't there. So he bought a small security camera and set it up, linking it to his cell phone so he could watch a live feed from work. He positioned it to get a clear view of his main living area, hoping to catch a glimpse of whatever was causing this disturbance. The next day, he went to work, his heart pounding with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. He pulled out his phone, opened the app, and started watching. For hours, nothing happened. It was just his empty apartment, silent and still. He started to think maybe he was just being paranoid after all. And then he saw it. Movement. On his phone screen, he watched in disbelief as a figure emerged inside his apartment. But it didn't come from the door or a window. It came from inside a closet. He zoomed in, his eyes wide with horror. A woman, thin and quiet, was cautiously crawling out of the small, top-shelf storage compartment of his Oshira, traditional Japanese-style closet. His blood ran cold. There was a stranger living inside his closet. He immediately called the police, his voice trembling as he tried to explain the impossible situation. He told them, "I think there's someone in my house. I'm watching them on a camera right now." He stayed on the line, watching the live feed, until he knew the officers were close. When the police arrived, they entered the apartment cautiously. The man had told them where to look, but it still seemed unbelievable. They opened the closet door. At first glance, it just looked like a normal closet filled with bedding and spare items. But they knew to look higher. They slid open the small door to the top compartment, a space usually reserved for things you don't use very often. And there, huddled in the darkness, was a 58-year-old woman named Tatsuko Horikawa. She was unemployed and had nowhere else to go. So she had turned this tiny, cramped space into her home. The police were stunned. They found a thin mattress, some empty food containers, and several plastic bottles. This small, dark space, no bigger than a coffin, had been her entire world. When they questioned her, the full, mind-boggling story came out. Tatsuko admitted that she had been living in the man's closet for an entire year. 1 year, for 365 days, she had shared a home with a complete stranger, completely undetected. She told the police that about a year prior she had found the apartment unlocked. Seeing it as an opportunity, she slipped inside and made the top of the closet her secret hiding spot. Her daily routine was a masterpiece of stealth and timing. She had memorized the homeowner's schedule down to the minute. When he left for work in the morning, her day would begin. She would carefully creep out of her hiding spot, her movements slow and deliberate. She would go to the kitchen and take just enough food to survive, careful not to take so much that it would be immediately obvious. She used his bathroom, even taking showers when she knew he would be gone for an extended period. She watched his TV, read his newspapers, and lived a phantom life within the walls of his home. And every single day, before he was due to return, she would meticulously clean up any trace of her presence and retreat back into the darkness of the cupboard, pulling the sliding door shut behind her. Imagine the level of discipline and self-control that would require. She had to be almost completely silent. A single cough at the wrong time, a floorboard creaking as she moved, could have given her away. For an entire year, she lived in a constant state of high alert, her existence a secret kept just a few feet away from the man whose life she had invaded. She was so successful at being invisible that the homeowner only started noticing something was wrong when she got a little too comfortable and started taking more food from the fridge. She was, in the truest sense of the word, a parasite, living off her host without him even knowing she was there. The media in Japan and around the world quickly picked up the story, dubbing Tatsuko Horikawa the closet ghost or the cupboard woman. It resonated with so many people because it taps into a primal fear, the idea that the one place you're supposed to feel safe, your own home, can be violated in such a strange and intimate way. It wasn't a violent break-in. It was a silent, long-term infiltration. The story became a modern urban legend, but it was all too real. It made people double-check their locks and glance nervously at the dark corners of their own homes. What's even more unsettling is thinking about the psychological aspect. How did she endure living in such a cramped space for so long? Police described her as neat and clean, suggesting she took great care not to disturb the home she was secretly inhabiting. She wasn't malicious. She was desperate. She was charged with trespassing, but her case highlights a deeper societal issue of isolation and poverty. She was a ghost in the system long before she became a ghost in someone's closet. She had slipped through the cracks of society, becoming so invisible that her only option was to literally disappear into someone else's life. The homeowner was, understandably, traumatized. He moved out of the apartment almost immediately. How could he ever feel safe there again? Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow in the corner of his eye, would be a reminder of the woman who lived just above his head while he slept. It's a chilling thought. You go about your daily life, you cook, you sleep, you watch TV, all while someone else is silently sharing your space, watching you, listening to you, and living a parallel life hidden just out of sight. The case of Tatsuko Horikawa is a terrifying reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters are not supernatural spirits, but real people driven to desperate measures. It truly makes you wonder what secrets the walls of your own home might be hiding. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating and unsettling as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into strange and mysterious cases. Let me know in the comments what you think. Could you ever feel safe in your home again after an experience like this? See you in the next video.